Here.
Commissioner Bauer. Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Lynn.
Here.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski. Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Commissioner Stefanski called and said he was feeling ill and would not be here tonight, and Commissioner Bauer is walking in the door. Commissioner Lynn.
I know you're shocked.
Yeah.
Move to recuse Commissioner Stefanski.
Support.
It's been moved forward. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would ask those with cell phones if they would please put them on vibrate or silence them. We would appreciate it. Item number 1 is public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time to speak on an agenda item not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there someone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item? It's nice to welcome the president of Lake Superior State University in the audience, Dr. Tom Pleger, his wife Teresa. I understand you wanted to speak on an agenda item?
Yes.
Could you give us the number? 3A? Okay, and we'll give you that opportunity when we get to that item. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Consent agenda, City Clerk.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular city commission meeting of February 2nd and the goal-setting session of February 9th. Recommended action, approve the minutes of the regular city commission meeting of February 2nd, 2015, and the goal-setting session of February 9th, 2015. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Police Fire Pension Board of January 21st. B, Osborne Trust of January 22nd, and C, Seal Trust of January 22nd. Recommended action, accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, appointments and resignations. 1, reappointment to the Steel Estate Board of Trustees. Recommended action, confirm the mayor's reappointment of Alberta Dagnall and Dave Thomas to the Seal Estate Board of Trustees for terms to expire July 1, 2016. Item C, special orders of business. 1, schedule a public hearing for March 2nd, 2015 to receive public comments regarding AMI Industries CDBG grant application for job training funds. Recommended action, schedule a public hearing for March 2nd, 2015 to receive public comments regarding the AMI Industries CDBG application for job training funds.
Okay, thank you. Is there any commissioner that would like something further explained on the consent agenda? Commissioner Twardy.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Boswis.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Commissioner Lynn is having a problem with the computer?
Definitely having laptop problems.
Is it?
But we'll wing it.
Okay, is it coming up?
No, it needs to be restarted. It's trying to update.
Oh,
If you want to hand it to me, I'll try to fix it.
city clerk will make it right.
Sorry about the delay.
Okay, item number 3.
Item 3, special orders of business. A, adoption of the city commission goals to be incorporated in the 2015-2016 fiscal year budget.
Okay, thank you. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. On Monday, February 9th, 2015, the City Commission met in a full-day work session to develop the goals for the fiscal year that will begin on July 1st, 2015. As an integral part of the process of establishing the included goals, the City Commission reviewed the mission statement and 2020 vision for the City of Sault Ste. Marie, reviewed the guiding financial principles of the city, reviewed basic financial information that will affect city operations over the course of the next fiscal year, reviewed the 6-year capital improvement plan, reviewed numerous departmental fact sheets, review the status of those goals established for the 2014-2015 fiscal year, reviewed the recently completed 2014 citizen survey, and also discussed future development within the city. In total, the City Commission established 15 goals, including both new goals and goals that were carried over from the current fiscal year, that the administration will address in detail in the upcoming budgeting process and address through the implementation of these goals over the next fiscal year. Specifically, these goals were broken down into 4 different categories that have been used in the past. These categories include administration, economic development, infrastructure and equipment, and recreation. As displayed on the screen, under the administration category, there were 5 goals, the first of which was to continue to improve sidewalk snow removal. The second of which was to pursue the potential transfer of the management and ownership of the Osborne Boulevard parking structure to War Memorial Hospital. The third, to cross-train all employees to maximize backup and efficiency in city operations. The fourth, to continue the implementation of an electronics file storage system for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. And the fifth, to increase the focus on safety for city employees and the public utilizing city buildings, streets, and other city locations. Under the economic development category, there were 3 goals, the first of which was to work closely with Lake Superior State University to encourage and support growth and enrollment, as well as political and financial support from the state of Michigan, to make Sault Ste. Marie more college-friendly, and to embrace the concepts of economic gardening to create wealth and grow business within the established business community. Under the infrastructure and equipment category, the goals included pursuing funding from state and federal resources for the reconstruction of the Carbide Dock, continuing with visual appearance improvements for the downtown area and the I-75 business spur, including flowers, the removal of dead trees and branches, and the removal pruning of bushes, and developing an asset management plan for the long-term responsible stewardship of city buildings, equipment, and materials. Finally, under the recreation category, the 4 goals within that field included moving the bike park from Sioux Area High School to a more central location, supporting the continuation of Light Up the Sioux, pursuing the establishment of an outdoor ice rink and recreation area, and pursuing the construction of a walkway along the power canal. The administration appreciates the willingness of commissioners to devote nearly a full day's worth of time to this effort and to provide this guidance to staff. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the City Commission goals for the 2015-2016 fiscal year as presented, or alternatively, to approve these goals as desired modifications are made by the City Commission.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, Dr. Tom Pleger wanted to speak on behalf of this 3A item. If you'd like to come to the microphone, Tom, we appreciate it.
Limited to 3 minutes?
Well,
I'll do my best. Cut me off.
that's okay. For what you have to say, you can go a little over.
Thank you,
Sure.
Mayor. I was pleased to have the goals shared with the campus. The city manager came out to campus and shared with me the activities you're working on. I just wanted to indicate that the areas related to Lake State in terms of economic development and improving the relationship between the university and the city are exactly in line with what we're planning. And I wanted to make you aware of a couple of things that as you move ahead on these goals that you should be aware of.
Sure.
I attended the governor's State of the State several weeks ago where he talked about the River of Opportunity. And Lake State, we're in the opportunity business. That's what we're about, is providing opportunity for our communities, our students, and bringing people here who are interested in college education. And as you may have been made aware that in his budget, the governor has proposed funding the Center for Freshwater Research and Education, formerly the Aquatic Research Laboratory. This is a project that will have an economic impact on the community, will allow us to continue our research and advance our research and bring money into the community related to freshwater research, and it will place us really at the forefront of this program, of our fisheries and freshwater and biological sciences in the Great Lakes. We're going to need your support to make this happen, to make certain the legislature believes this is a wise investment of taxpayer money, and that it's a project that accomplishes many goals in terms of meeting the goals of the university, but also the community, the Eastern UP, Michigan, and the Upper Great Lakes as a whole. So we need your help there. I also wanted to mention and make you aware of that we're in the process of soliciting proposals for a master plan project for the university, and we want the city to be directly involved in that. We are looking at a plan for the next 20 years for use of our facilities, and there's an opportunity to connect the university and the community and plan for facilities of where we're going to locate, how we may create an avenue between us and the city, and particularly our recreational use of the surrounding area. And lastly, I just wanted to make you aware, when I was here last time, I mentioned the One Rate at Lake State initiative, and this week we signed an agreement with all of the 13 two-year liberal arts colleges, public universities in the University of Wisconsin system to accept their associate degree, and there are no engineering programs north of the 45th parallel in that state. We think our engineering program, our fishery program, our nursing program, and business will be very attractive to citizens in northern Wisconsin. This agreement allows a full transfer of the associate degree from that state to satisfy our general education requirements here. And with our one rate, we're competitive. So I wanted to make you aware of that. We're advertising now in partnership with the city in the tourism of come to visit the Sault Ste. Marie area and stay for an education. Those billboards and messages are up across Wisconsin as we sign this agreement. So wanted to make you aware of we're making progress there.
That's great news. And just for your information, the city at our goal-setting session talked about the freshwater research lab and being on board, and our recreational plan we felt had a year going forward, and that would be updated. I think we've talked about that, so we certainly will be with Lake Superior State and going forward. And it's great news the governor is putting that in his budget too. So,
So we still got to get through capital outlay and
Yes.
appropriations, and we're going to need help from the city to make that happen. So
great.
All right. Well, thank
Best
you very
wishes.
much.
Thanks you again for coming. You're always welcome.
Hey, try to do it in 3 minutes. But
No, you did. Great job. Any questions of Dr. Tom? We're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. City Commission. Commissioner Shimmons. I think we need a motion for the
On the goal
goals.
setting.
Yes.
I would move the city manager's, excuse me, recommendation.
Support.
Been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Torty?
Yes.
Mayor Bospas?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
The next item under special orders of business is item B, first reading of an ordinance to amend Article 7 Off-Road Vehicles, Section 24-158, and Section 24-159, and 24-167 of the Sault Ste. Marie Code, and add subsection F to Section 24-158, amend Section 24-159D, and amend subsection 24-167.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. In a recent meeting with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, city staff became aware of an opportunity to improve the quality of the trail between South Street and Ashman Bay Park. Provided the city is willing to designate portions of South Street and the Ashman Bay Park Trail as open to off-road vehicles, the DNR would pay to upgrade and maintain the surface of the Ashman Bay Park Trail and also install vault toilet restroom facilities at a new trailhead located in Ashman Bay Park. Presently, there is no mechanism in the city's Code of Ordinances to allow the City Commission to make such designations. The proposed included ordinance would create such a mechanism and allow the City Commission to designate portions of city streets and rights-of-way, as well as city alleys, parks, or parking lots open to ORV use through the adoption of a resolution. If the adoption of this resolution were to ultimately be approved, a separate item would be brought before the City Commission at a later date, likely the March 16, 2015 regular meeting, to formally designate the necessary sections of South Street and Ashman Bay Park Trail as being open to ORV use and to satisfy the DNR's designation requirements. It should be noted that the administration reached out by mail to the owners of the 3 residential structures along South Street by which the proposed ORV trail would pass, asking for comment on the proposal by February 9th. To date, no comments have been received regarding the same. Accordingly, it is my recommendation that the City Commission approve a first reading of the ordinance amendment as presented and schedule a second reading for the regular City Commission meeting of March 2nd, 2015.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Twardy.
I so move that we approve a first reading of the ordinance amendment as presented and schedule a second reading of the regular City Commission meeting of March 2nd, 2015.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Everyone sees where the improvements would be on South Street area? Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bosbus,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
The next item is communications. Item A, from the Sioux Tribe of Chippewa Indians, request to purchase city-owned parcel 051-354-015-00.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The Community Development Department has been contacted by the Sioux Tribe Real Estate Management Office, which has indicated that the Sioux Tribe has an interest in acquiring a city-owned parcel on Marquette Avenue, just east of JKL Bawading Elementary School. The parcel in question consists of a single 40-foot by 125-foot lot that has been owned by the city since September 1993. It was originally acquired from the DNR at no cost to the city, as when it was intended to be used to accommodate the improvement of a potential intersection at Marquette Avenue and East 9th Street. As East 9th Street is not planned to be improved now or at any point in the future, the subject property is no longer needed by the city. The 40-foot width of the parcel is below the minimum width required by the zoning ordinance for parcels zoned R1, thereby making this a substandard lot. Per the city's land sale policy, substandard lots are to be sold to adjacent owners, and as the Sioux Tribe is the owner of the only adjacent lot, the Sioux Tribe would be eligible to purchase the parcel in its entirety. According to Assessor Fuller, the subject property has a total cash value of $1,576. Staff correspondence with Ms. Jeffries of the Real Estate Management Office for the Sioux Tribe indicates that they are willing to purchase this parcel for $600. In consideration of the fact that the city obtained the subject parcel at no cost, the fact that the parcel is considered to be substandard under the zoning ordinance, and the fact that the established land sale policy calls for such lots to be sold only to adjacent property owners, it is my opinion as city manager that selling this parcel at a price of $600 would be an appropriate transaction. This is additionally true in consideration of the fact that the offer is slightly more than the minimum bid that is set for parcels which go through the bidding process. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the sale of parcel 051-354-015-00 to the Sioux Tribe for the offered price of $600 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the deed to facilitate this transaction.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lynn.
So move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bosbus.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 5 is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item A under the city manager's report would provide for the acceptance of a proposal for the completion of a complex space needs and concept plan for the Department of Public Works. I have requested that DPW Director Jim Moreau make a presentation regarding this subject matter.
Good evening.
Evening, Jim.
As all of you know, the 4 buildings at the DPW site, the 2 of ours and the 2 of the school buildings, they were all built for the making cable for the Mackinac Bridge. And after the bridge project was over with, the city got them, I'm assuming, quite cheap. But it was actually an upgrade to what we had before, just a bit of history. Prior to that consolidation there, we actually had 4 different sites in the Public Works Department. There was the street garage on Arlington. I'm not exactly sure where in Arlington Street, but it was downtown someplace. Then there was a storage yard on Fort Street, just on the north side of the Fort Street Bridge, kind of where it butts up to the Lock City property. And then there's also another storage yard on the where the Restore is at Pine and Sheridan. Now the water department was downtown also someplace in a very small building. I don't know the exact location of that. That's kind of lost from our records. So it was a lot better than what we had before, but it still has some serious problems. Remember, these buildings were only constructed for a very large job on a temporary basis. So they were never really intended to act as a DPW complex for in excess of 50 years. So we've definitely got our use out of them as they are. Some of the deficiencies that we have, and hopefully I can do, there it goes. X out of this here. I'll go through some of the deficiencies that we have on the site. Just I'll bring up a few pictures here, and I'll go through these quickly. Here's the front of the DPW building. Now, these pictures were taken Saturday and yesterday, so the quality's not too good, and my hands
Looks like
may have
spring
been
out there. Is that sand? That we got sand in the driveway? Is
Yeah,
that?
it's little sand coming up, that's falling off the trucks. Again, the quality of the picture's not too good because my camera was probably shaking at the time.
Yeah.
So, here's our salt shed. One of the deficiencies that we have, probably one of the biggest problems with the site is our salt and sand storage. And our salt shed is supposedly, according to MDOT, one of the second or third worst in the UP. And they grade those on funding. So that's actually a good thing for us to have a really bad one right now, because
Will they help in funding?
yes, they are.
Okay.
They have a 41. The funding is based on how many the amount of major roads you have in your city and the amount of state trunk lines, and that grant is calculated from that. And I believe we'll have 41% of our salt building, our next salt shed, funded by MDOT. But you can see it's in pretty rough shape. I don't know the exact age of it. It's got to be at least 30 years old. And not only that, we have a lot of contamination. We keep our sand outside. Now, our sand is mixed with about 10% of salt to keep it from freezing up too much, and it actually helps the roadways in the wintertime. But anything that has over, I believe 2% salt content, there's the back of the salt shed, has to be covered and has to sit on either concrete or pavement, an impervious surface. And we just have dirt. You know, that's what they did in 1965, 1970 when they built this thing, and that's what we have now. There's our salt pile. Now, half of it's froze right now, but that's what the guys are digging in to put the salt in the roads. Now, that should be covered because we don't have, because it has over 2% salt in it. There's some outside storage. Our vehicles, most of our vehicles have to stay outside, particularly our pickups. Here's some aggregate storage in the back. The one pile on the right, now these piles are froze. That's from a water main break. We had to dig into that for some sand for backfill. Now, the reason, it's not that bad of an area. It's functional, but if you look to the left, you can see there's a snowmobile trail. The city snowmobile trail runs through the DPW garage, and that's another problem that we have, because we're digging with heavy equipment, driving through with backhoes and stuff, and we have to stop because a snowmobiler goes by. You know, it's not a good thing. There's our cold storage. That's the water department trucks. I'll just go through these quick. That's our dump trucks and cold storage. Now, our cold storage building is okay, but it's cold storage. This morning we lost about an hour and a half of work trying to get our dump truck started. It was 15 below this morning. It was 15 below on the trucks. So our Christmas wreaths next to our street patcher, with tar on it. This is not and we just don't have the room. There's our sweepers. Now, this is in the main building. This is where you first come through the door. There's our plow trucks, and I just got done doing the roads, and right next to our Vector truck, which is right next to our lunchroom. So we just don't have the space. The trucks are stacked in through this was Saturday afternoon. There's some other pictures. This is, we just don't have the space. The area to the left is where the mechanics are actually working. And we have to use that area for storing, like our sidewalk blower, our backhoe, and they have to work around that. For example, they're working on another sidewalk blower right now. So we just don't have a lot of room. I'll just quickly go through these, where our grader storage is in the back. There's no wash bays. We can't clean the equipment from the salt. Now, you can see the corrosion on the trucks. That's just from, we can't clean the equipment as well we should because of the salt. There's graders parked, plow trucks. I mean, every inch of space that we have in the building is utilized as best we can. Our old boiler, which is an old coal unit that they modified to burn natural gas. Storage areas. This is the water department. I think it was an old train depot of some kind. There's train tracks in the front of it where the backhoe is sitting. I don't know what the use was, but that's where we keep our water fittings and our parts for restoring the sewer and water utilities in the city. Some more pictures like that. This is the Parks building. Now, another problem that we have in the DPW site is we want to have the Parks employees come over in the summertime. Now, they can't come over in the wintertime because they're working at the Polar. But we want to incorporate all the DPW staff in one building. It'll give us a lot more flexibility. If the Parks need help with something, we can have other departments give them a hand and vice versa. So it's a goal of ours to have everybody together at one place. Now, there's a storage building at the airport also that Parks uses. It's just full of stuff. You know, we have no cold storage. There's a carbide building. Now we have another Zamboni in there, some trucks, the city float. We just have a lot of stuff and not many places to put it. I believe we have some stuff at the police department too that we're storing there for the DPW. So anyway, you know, it's the building suits our basic needs, but we do need some improvements done. Now, back a few years ago, in the mid-'90s, the DPW building fund was started. Stock and equipment fund and the water and sewer fund both put in equal amounts of money, and I think they did that till about 2005, 2006, around there. And right now, there's a balance of about $1.6 million in that fund. And being that we're going to be in the DPW complex for a long time, we want to utilize that fund to make the improvements to our site. That's what the fund was originally planned for. And you know, 20 years ago when it started, they knew we had to do something. The city commission decided 20 years ago we have a problem here. We're going to have to address in the future. So it really is due. So, you know, after reviewing all the problems of the site in-house, we decided that we needed outside help. There's just no way we can make a plan to make these improvements. So the city engineer wrote up a request for qualifications to help select a design firm. And on November 24th, we opened 6 packets from 6 firms, and we narrowed that down to 2. The city manager, the city engineer, and myself reviewed them, and we interviewed 2 of the design firms, and NDG was the unanimous choice by the panel. You know, the experience that they have in county and city municipal public works sites, they have a lot of salt shed design experience, and they really came prepared. They checked out the sites, the city's site, they toured the DPW, they toured the other parks properties, so they came prepared. And what they're going to do for this plan is they're going to review all of our operations and our work duties. They're going to interview our staff. They're going to inspect all of our buildings. They're going to, you know, and including in inspecting our buildings, they're going to, you know, check on the feasibility of perhaps incorporating some of their neighboring properties into the DPW site, like maybe the school buildings that we've been talking about for a couple of years now. They're going to actually look at that. You know, if we were talking about that, yeah, it'd be nice to have the school buildings, but what are we going to do when we get them? You know, should we invest in these things? These are the professionals that are going to find that out for us. And when they're done, they're going to provide us with alternatives that we can review, and then we can, you know, plan to address and make a plan to address our problems. You know, allowing us, you know, to do this while we're still doing our jobs. That's an important part. You can't just start tearing apart the buildings and everything, because we still have to plow the streets. We still have to fix the, you know, the water main, you know, thaw the services and stuff. So whatever these improvements have to be staged very carefully on our properties. And anyway, so the proposed cost of this work is $41,000. Now that's a pretty good chunk of change for a study. We've had, you know, more costly designs over the years, but when I look at that $41,000, I'm thinking that's 2 wing plows, or that's a motor for a grader, or that's a you know, a boiler for the new building. But it's really needed. This is you know, without this plan, we're just spinning our wheels here. If we don't do something, we're not going to do anything. You know, if we don't do something, get a plan and get this process started, 5 years from now, it's going to be worse shape than we're in. You know, so, you know, so that being said, this is truly going to be a roadmap for the improvements to the site for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, even if our fund, our $1.6 million, which doesn't go far, it sounds like a good chunk of change. But when you're doing something on this scale, it doesn't go far. But they will prioritize those things with us, those improvements, so we can, we'll go as far as we can with that funding, and then, plan for the future after that point, because there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and we need help to do it. There's nobody in-house that has the time. There's probably some talented people that, if we gave them, free rein to do that, they could probably get this job done. Not as well as these. These are professionals, but, I certainly couldn't do the job. This is what we would really, really like to get done.
Any questions of Jim? Commissioner Bauer?
No, I had a comment for
Okay.
whenever we're done, but I don't have any questions for Jim specifically.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? I think city manager wants us to say a few words.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Moreau. Nice presentation. Appreciate the work that you and City Engineer Basista have put into this. Just as a brief note from the administration's point of view, something that we believe will drive this process to make sure that the funds, any funds expended for this study, would be that we would make sure the process unfolds in line with the goals that were established earlier tonight, as far as ensuring public safety at the public buildings, and also making sure that we have responsible stewardship of our buildings and our assets. So from that frame, we're certainly looking at the goals that have been established for the administration. And also part of what we're looking at is trying to make sure that any improvements that are made, make sure that we're maximizing our return on investment, so that when we expend funds on capital equipment or things like a plow truck or a grader or anything that can be stored inside, that we are minimizing maintenance costs in the future. We're making it a logical arrangement to where employees can maintain these in a thoughtful manner. And then the last part that will frame our path moving forward is making sure that through the generating of that return on investment, that we would responsibly manage any funds that were to be invested in the improvements.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer?
Yeah, I wanted to say that as I was reading over this information, I had a sense of deja vu, because I remember reading over a lot of these issues when the commission decided to stop funding the DPW building fund. And the commission at the time did that because we were staring water increases in the face, and that was one, and we knew people didn't want that. So that was the one thing that we thought we could do and did in order to keep the cost of the water bills at bay. It's funny because I was reading here, that we stopped funding it several years ago. Several is actually 9 or 10. And these issues have existed far prior to when we decided to stop funding the DPW building. I mean, it wasn't like overnight 9 or 10 years ago. It's like, wow, we have these problems. I mean, these problems have existed for quite a while. The fact that we have $1.6 million in that fund and can use that to address certain issues, I mean, let's do what we can. And a week ago, when we were in goal setting, I don't remember how many votes it got specifically, but one of the goals I think that we decided to pursue was asset management. And here we are a week later, and this falls right in line with that. So, I mean, I think it's great that we, it's not great that we spend $41,000, but the fact of the matter is, yeah, if we don't do something, that facility will continue to deteriorate. Rust never sleeps, right? So, therefore, I move that the commission approve the execution by the city manager of a contract with Northwest Design Group of Petoskey, Michigan, for the creation of a DPW complex space needs and concept plan at a cost of $40,894, which will be drawn from the existing DPW building fund. Support.
Move support. Are there any questions? Commissioner
I
Schimmons.
just wanted to make a quick comment here. I was a little stunned that we're not actually storing our salt and such properly. Approximately 45 years ago, there was a lawsuit in Chippewa County from one of the subdivisions just a short ways away from where the county was storing salt without storing it properly on cement and in an enclosed building. And a jury found that the Chippewa County was not, or the Road Commission, was not to be held liable, but they then went and built a proper storage facility for that salt, and the water cleared up. So I would certainly hate to see the city be involved in anything that had possibility of contaminating our groundwater, one of our most precious resources.
Thank you. Anyone else? As we understand it, this is a complex design, so that as money becomes available, that we'll be looking forward, so that if we can't do everything, we would do it in stages. Is that correct? So that they would have a master plan, so to speak?
Right. So part of this process would be soliciting input from the employees, the department heads, and trying to really conceptualize what is necessary at the site. So it may be that if the cost exceeds what is in the building fund right now, it could be phased in or appropriately budgeted for in the future as well.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B, under the city manager's report, would provide for the acceptance of a proposal for fireworks displays for July 4th of the years 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, and 19. As described in the memorandum, Fire Chief Thorpe has solicited a proposal from Wolverine Fireworks Display to continue providing the city's fireworks displays on July 4th. In reviewing this proposal, the administration has been very happy with its relationship with Wolverine Fireworks Display for providing this annual show. One of the complications that Wolverine has in putting this on is that it needs to be put on from a secured area of federal Corps property. And Wolverine has been very efficient in working with the Corps and the city to make sure that the show is a success. Since this is a professional service, there's no charter requirement to bid this work out. Wolverine is proposing a nominal increase with a discount for a 5-year commitment to continue providing the fireworks show in the city. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission accept the proposal from Wolverine Fireworks Display of Calcala, Michigan for the annual 4th of July fireworks show for the 2015 through 2019 calendar years.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gary.
I would so move the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Any questions? And they have done an excellent job over the last several years with the fireworks, and you always think that you're coming down to the end, and all of a sudden it goes on for another 5 or 6, 8 minutes and another grand finale. So, they do a nice job. Anyone else have any comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C, under the city manager's report, would provide authorization for the execution of a contract with CenterPoint Energy for the purchase of natural gas through the Michigan Municipal League Natural Gas Purchasing Program. As indicated within the memorandum, on March 18, 2013, the City Commission authorized the city manager to execute a gas customer choice contract with CenterPoint Energy Services of Minneapolis, Minnesota, through the Michigan Municipal Natural Gas Purchasing Program. The League, at that time, selected Phil McCord, a national leader in energy management and procurement, to manage this program. Communities wishing to continue participation or to renew their contract in this program must execute an agreement by February 23, 2015 for the April 1st renewal. The city has a choice of a variable rate or a fixed rate. The Michigan Municipal League has advised the city that based on current pricing trends, it should execute a contract, a 2-year contract with a fixed rate that would be most likely to provide the best return for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. Based on 2013 usage and the rates charged in comparison with the published DTE rates, the city achieved a savings of $6,356.89 from March 2013 through January 2014. However, based on the 2014 usage and rates charged in comparisons with the published DTE rates, the city paid an additional $8,215.74 for the 2014 calendar year. Unfortunately, for the variable rate, CenterPoint did not anticipate the winter storms that occurred last year However, the Michigan Municipal League and Centerpoint are recommending a fixed price quote, which will help mitigate some of the risks of market volatility going forward that are also connected to the variable rate. Importantly, the current fixed rate of $4.17 that was included within these materials has decreased to $4.03 per 1,000 cubic feet of natural gas. This amount is lower than the DDE rate for the past consecutive 22 months. Accordingly, it is my recommendation that the City Commission authorize the City Manager to execute a Michigan Gas Customer Choice Contract with CenterPoint Energy Services of Minneapolis, Minnesota for a 1-year term with a fixed price contract. Alternatively, the administration could pursue another course as directed by the City Commission.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Twardy.
I move that the City Commission authorize the City Manager to execute a Michigan Gas Customer Choice Contract with CenterPoint Energy Services Incorporated of Minneapolis, Minnesota for a 1-year term with a fixed price contract.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Twardy.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Do private business owners have the opportunity to reach out to CenterPoint for their own natural gas?
City Manager.
Honestly, I'm not quite sure if they would be able to do that on their own.
Okay.
I don't believe they would be able to do that through the Michigan Municipal League program.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D, under the City Manager's report, would provide for the approval of a first resolution for public improvements for Prospect Alley. As part of the 2013-2014 fiscal year budget, the City Commission appropriated funds for a project to repair Prospect Alley, also known as Evening News Alley, between Arlington Street and West Spruce Street, with 60% of project funds coming from benefiting property owners. The cost of construction is estimated to be approximately $25,000, with the city appropriation of $10,000 or 40% of the project and $15,000 or 60% coming from special assessments. The actual dollar amount of the special assessment will be based on the actual bid prices received for this project. The special assessment roll and associated roll hearing for this project will not be set until after the project's bid, a contractor is identified, and the dollar amount for all of the improvements calculated. Downtown Development Director Justin Epper has made personal contact with the affected property owners and has reported that there is unanimous support for this project, which will consist of pulverizing and a 2-inch overlay in the alley. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve a first resolution for a public improvement for a street improvement project on Prospect Alley between Arlington Street and Spruce Street, with the public hearing of necessity being scheduled for 7 p.m. on Monday, March 2nd, 2015.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lynn.
So move the City Manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bospas?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item E under the City Manager's report would provide for the approval of a service provider agreement between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and the Sioux Locks Visitor Center Association. As Commissioners are aware, the Sioux Locks Visitor Center Association, SLVCA, initiated discussion with the City of Sault Ste. Marie in October 2014 about the possibility that both entities could enter into an agreement whereby both parties would equally share costs that would be incurred by the SLVCA to sponsor the use of Army Corps of Engineers volunteers at the Sioux Locks for the purposes of promoting the community and its history. More specifically, these Army Corps of Engineers volunteers could support economic development and community relations by regularly walking through the observation deck at the Sioux Locks, greeting visitors, answering questions about the Sioux Locks, answering questions about local attractions, businesses, and services, and also being on hand during special events as schedule permits. Importantly, the funding received by the SLVCA from the city through the included agreement would be intended for use to pay for the rental of a non-waterfront campsite at the Annie Osborne Campground at which these volunteers could stay. It's currently anticipated that the cost for the SLVCA to reserve a campground site for these volunteers would total no more than $2,890 for the 2015 season, and that is how the 50% reflected in the contract the 50% reflected in the contract of $1,445 was calculated. Due to the fact that the city receives at least 55% of the revenue generated through the rental of campground sites, it's expected that the city would minimally recover most, if not all, of the full amount of the $1,445 that would be spent by the city through the included agreement. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Park Ranger Michelle Briggs is here tonight to answer questions or make a presentation, and it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the included agreement between the city and the SLVCA as presented.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. That was a pretty good sum up of what we're hoping to do. I'll just fill in a few details. You may not be aware that in 2014, we had 502,067 people in the Sulaks Park. That's comfortably enough of a margin to say over 500,000 people were in the park at the Sulaks. Those people have a lot of questions. Mostly they want to know when's the next boat coming. And they want to know if there will be a boat here 3 weeks from now and they plan to come back after they've gone somewhere else. The other thing they're always asking is, so there's not a boat for 3 or 4 hours, what is there to do here? Because they want to wait and see a boat. They don't know. They've heard, go see the Sulaks, don't miss it. Okay, now what do? So we spend a lot of time, or it should be me, it's a royal me, explaining what other attractions there are in town. Another thing that comes up, well, where should we go eat? They want to eat somewhere local. They don't want to go to McDonald's or Subway. They can eat that at home. They want something that's Sault Ste. Marie. So I spend a lot of time doing that. Unfortunately, the Sulaks has one park ranger. The state of Michigan, for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, has one park ranger. So you have now met the Lone Ranger. And what the Army Corps of Engineers has a program, it's a national program for volunteers, and it's meant to help bridge the gap between what paid staff can do and what the needs of a facility are. We need more people to walk around the park, to go in the visitor platform and greet people, ask them, do you have any questions, and respond to them when they want to know where to eat, what to go do for the rest of the day, and all of that. I only have so much time, as I said, I'm the Lone Ranger. So I've got other things that are demanding my time. But these long-range volunteers, and I should specify, they're usually a long-range volunteer. They're for at least a month, hopefully longer. We have some people who have already volunteered to volunteer from July through the middle of October. So these are people who are going to be in for the summer, but a part of our community. They're going to end up eating at all our restaurants, going through our shops, walking up and down, seeing all the other attractions that the community has to offer. So when someone does say, gosh, what are we going to do? They'll be equipped to look, say, oh, you've got all these kids. I recommend this, 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 and this. You'll all really enjoy it, or go to Sherman Park, go here, go here. There's all kinds of great things to do here. It helps keep them in town, helps encourage them to spend money in town. And I hope you'll agree. Oh, I should say, in the rest of the Corps of Engineers, they do this in exchange for a campsite. As you probably are aware, at the Sulaks, we don't have a campsite. And people who do attempt to camp find themselves the guests of the county overnight, maybe longer. So what we are looking at is if the city and the Sulaks Visitor Center Association can provide them with a campsite, then these people are able to come, be a part of our community, help fill a need in the park for 500,000 visitors. And I'm not kidding, it's very easy to talk to over 300 people in an hour and a half out in that platform. Because they are hungry for information and they're looking for that insider view of our community, which these volunteers, after spending so much time with us, would be able to provide. And I hope you'll see it the way that I see it. I think it's a win-win. It's a win for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It's a win for the community. And it's a win for that 500,000 visitors who are coming.
Just a couple comments, I guess, and then we used to do this about 20 25 years ago, and they were called Redcoats, and they were dressed like Mounties. And they were primarily senior citizens, and they had the hats, and we had the red coats, because Community Action had the program through the UPCAP, which is the Upper Peninsula Commission on Area Progress. These people were actually paid. But, and that went away once funding became tight, but there is a need for information to be shared with people that visit the locks.
And these people
And,
wear red vests.
oh, I was going to ask you, so that there is something that designates them as a,
They're going to have a hat and a red vest.
excellent.
And
Okay.
they will be diligently trained to walk around. We don't just stand in the corner of the block. What do you mean? Again, giving myself plural. I walk around and I go right up to a group and say, did you have any questions? Are you enjoying your visit here? Where are you from? Are you from out of town?
Great.
They'll be trained to do that.
Okay, great. Commissioner Torney.
Thank you. You actually answered all my questions, but I just had one more comment. I think this is a great idea. It's a great program, and I'm fully on board with it. You might even want to go further as to when your guests get here to have somebody, I was sort of thinking maybe Justin, give them a really nice tour of the area and kind of show the visitors or what people that are going to be volunteering there what our community has to offer and what we do have, and get a list of our services. So
That would be a great thing, especially if we could work it out so we could actually visit some of the attractions. Because, you know, it's like, great, we're so glad you're volunteering. You're going to need about $50 for admissions to go and tour everything that's available here.
yeah.
And I would think some of that could be comp, because you're going to be coming back and bringing people to those areas. So I'm sure they would be. Yeah. Commissioner Bauer.
I wanted to mention that when I visited Calumet, they had a similar program. They had volunteers there in the community to answer questions and to, I guess, show people where because Calumet's a very spread out town as far as, where, so if you're from out of town, you may have a hard time finding a way from point A to point B. And I thought it was very effective, and I think this is a great idea. I move that the commission approve the included agreement between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and the Sioux Logs Visitor Center Association as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Torty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F, under the City Manager's report, would provide for the approval of a shuttle service agreement between the City and Community Action Agency. As Commissioners are aware, the City and EDC have been working over the course of the past several months to secure LEED certification for the Technology Breeder Building. As Commissioners are also aware, the initial application submitted by Integrated Designs to the U.S. Green Building Council for the Breeder Building to obtain LEED certification scored 38 out of the 40 points necessary for this designation. In completing a thorough review of the standards used by the Green Building Council to score such applications for the awarding of LEED certification, Integrated Designs informed the City and EDC that it would be possible to obtain 6 points through a resubmission of this application if the City were to establish regular shuttle service transportation that provides direct access to 2 bus lines within 2 miles of the Breeder Building that is available to all building tenants and would only be a 5 to 10 minute drive from the structure. It should be noted that the need to pursue this type of regular shuttle service arose from the fact that the U.S. Green Building Council, unfortunately and unexpectedly, did not consider the on-demand call services currently provided by Dial-A-Ride locally to meet the transportation scoring criteria against which all applications are scored. Upon receiving this feedback from Integrated Designs, the administration immediately contacted Mr. Ken Stott of Community Action Agency to determine if Dial-A-Ride would be able to provide such a regular shuttle service between the Breeder Building and the UPTA Transportation Center, which provides access to 2 bus lines. Following multiple conversations involving the City, the EDC, the Economic Development Administration, Community Action Agency, and Integrated Designs, the presented shuttle service agreement was drafted in an effort to meet the needs of all of the involved stakeholders and meet the scoring criteria of the Green Building Council so that the City and EDC could be awarded the additional 6 points needed for the breeder to obtain LEED certification. Critically, the Breeder Building must obtain the certification so that the City's grant with the Economic Development Administration can be closed out and the remaining grant funds in the amount of $160,973 released to the city. The agreement's already been signed by Community Action Agency, and I would like to thank Mr. Stott and Mr. Ron Callery of Community Action Agency for their support of the city's efforts to obtain LEED certification for the Breeder Building. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission authorize the city manager to execute the shuttle service agreement between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and Chippewa-Loos-Mackinac Community Action Agency as presented.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gary.
I make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the shuttle service agreement between the city of Sault Ste. Marie and the CLM Community Action Agency as presented.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item G under the city manager's report would provide for the approval of police department accounting for reserves, Public Act 302 training, Trident, police forfeiture, and drug escrow accounts. It's been brought to the city's attention that the state of Michigan is looking to better enforce requirements for local units that hold Public Act 302 police training funds, to hold these funds in a reserve account which would match the dollar amount reported to the state annually. As a result, Finance Director Collins and Police Chief Riley would like to keep all PA 302 training activities in Special Revenue Fund number 253 to include revenue, expenses, and a reserve. As a result of this request, Finance Director Collins is recommending a budget revision to move budgeted revenue from miscellaneous police grants to a new account in the Special Revenue Fund called PA 302 Grant Revenue, and to move budgeted expenses for PA 302 training into the same fund with a new number. This would have no net effect to either fund because the revenue and expenditures are both in the amount of $4,800, which net to zero. Chief Riley would also like to establish and track donations in the newly formed drug enforcement group Trident. Trident is an active department within the general fund with donations being specifically tracked in the Trident donations account, with expenditures also being tracked in the Trident operations expenses from outside contributions, with the difference between the two being the unspent donations being moved to the reserve annually. These funds would be spent at the direction of Trident, so that this reserve would be designated as restricted, so these funds could be set aside for this purpose. Finally, there are two other reserves that are currently held and tracked for the police department in the Special Revenue Fund, being the police forfeiture account with a current balance of $3,499.90 and the drug escrow account with a current balance of $14,656.14. These funds are collected in accordance with established regulations and procedures and held in the balance sheet accounts so that activities can be carefully tracked, monitored, and so that commingling with these funds with other operational funds can be avoided. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission first authorize the City Commission to authorize a new reserve and line items to be set up in the Special Revenue Fund to track PA 302 police training funds, and that all accounting for this activity be moved out of the general fund. Secondly, it would be my recommendation that the City Commission authorize a new reserve to be established to track the excess Trident donations and to be adjusted annually when donations exceed expenses. And thirdly, I would recommend that the City Commission authorize two new line items to be set up to track police forfeiture and drug escrow expenses in the Special Revenue Fund, and all accounting for this activity to be moved out of the general fund. I've requested, as a supplement to this presentation, that Police Chief Riley provide an update to the City Commission and community regarding the Trident group.
Great. That's, I was going to ask if Chief would give us an update that's been in the news recently. It's doing an excellent job. It seems to be very active and benefiting our community.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners.
Evening.
Everything the city manager said is correct. It's just a fancy way to say we got to clean up and maintain our accounts before we get audited and have a problem. Am I on?
Thank you.
Okay. This basically deals with a few accounts that the police department is in charge of, operates, It does not affect any cash or proceeds from sold items such as from lost property or unclaimed evidence or anything. That all goes into the general fund by statute. We have separate accounts. We've got the 302 training account. This money comes, $5 from every ticket that goes to court is set aside by the state of Michigan for the 302, it's Public Act 302 training fund. At the end of the year, that money is divided equally amongst participating law enforcement agencies dependent upon the number of officers in that agency. It's overseen by MCOLS, that's the licensing bureau, police licensing bureau in the state of Michigan. We average, and that number goes up and down. It depends on the number of tickets and, written throughout the state, number of officers. We generally get 45, there's 2 payments per year, so $7,500 to $8,000 a year. We have information that that may be falling due to budget issues within the state. We don't know yet. That account, I have to do a report every year. It's called the Annual 302 Report, and it's a training report, and this is a training fund. And in the report, I list all the training that the whole department goes through, what we've spent our money on. We're allowed to spend it on certain equipment and supplies. The main thing we spend it on is ammunition, training ammunition. We cannot use it for duty ammunition, but only training ammunition. It's very expensive, and we go through a lot of it. At the end of the report, I don't know if Bonnie can turn that camera on. No? We don't have to have it.
We're going to try and get this piece of paper on the screen, right?
Well, at the
Oh, there
end
it
of the
is.
report.
Here we go. Thank you, Bonnie.
The department has 2 years to spend the allocated money for each year. 2012, we were allocated just over $4,700. We have 2 years to spend that. If we don't spend that, we don't get another allocation once that 2 years is up. So if I still had money left over from 2012, I wouldn't get a 2015 allocation. So, and every year, I show the expenditures that we had in training or equipment, and it all comes down deductions and everything. What we're doing is maintenance on the city's account on this. We budget $4,500 a year. That's kind of average what we've used. That's not how it's supposed to be done. The state requires that we have a budget that shows how much we have, and it has to match what the state shows. Currently, at the end of last year, it's $8,730. We have to have a budget that shows that, and it has to continue year after year after year. So Kristen and I have been working on this, fixing it up. We've got that one squared away. That's one that she has talked about. There's criminal enterprises, which is similar to Omnibus and RICO. In the packet, that is the, what's that one called, Kristen? I think it's the police forfeiture account. That's similar to Omnibus and RICO. We have about $3,500 in that. Same thing, that has to roll over year after year. None of these can be attached to the general fund. At the end of the year, they cannot close out. They have to continue. The big one is the drug forfeiture. Right now, we have over $14,000 in that. That climbs and shrinks depending how much we use it for investigations and Trident and how many forfeitures we get. That one is maintained by the Michigan State Police, and we do audits on those around the state. And again, this can't be tied to the general budget. It can't, to our budget. It can't be going to the general fund at the end of the year. It has to continue. Kristen knows all the technical accounting terms. I don't. I just know how these accounts have to work. So I rely on her, and she's been very helpful in getting these set up. The last one, the Trident donations. Trident, as a board, decided when we started, at some point, we'd like to accept donations from the public because we want to do a little bit more than enforcement. We'd like to get into prevention, and that costs more money than what we have in our budgets. The best way that we've heard to finance that, Charlevoix does the same thing with their own drug team, is private donations, citizens and businesses. Sheriff and I decided we'd do a press release, and Scott was very gracious to us in the media. We did a press release a couple of weeks ago stating that we're looking for donations. We'd like to do some more PR stuff and preventative issues, as well as continue our investigations, which we fund through our own budgets. And so far, with the addition of $200 from Commissioner Shimmons this evening, we are about $3,400. That's just in a couple of weeks. So we have plans for that, and it's really going to help the team out. The team itself has been doing fantastic. They've only been around for about, I don't know, 6.5 months. We stopped working with SANE. We started up our own team. For a brand new drug unit in that short amount of time, I'm amazed at the work that's being done. And I think we can credit the people that are on the team leaders and the officers from the various agencies. I've worked with a lot of drug teams around the state, mainly down in the Detroit area. And I'll put these guys up to any of them. They're doing a fantastic job. They've got a heavy caseload. And as you can see in the paper the past couple of weeks, they've been hitting some heroin cases. They've hit some other cases that haven't made the press, and sometimes on purpose. We don't release everything. But they've been doing a fantastic job.
Excellent. No, it's excellent work, and you said, I remember the discussion we had as a commission when we stopped supporting the SANE task force and that stuff, and we started our own, and it's been about a year?
July 1st, the Trident was established, and they had to do some training, so it was about the middle of July they started.
Okay, so it's been 6 months.
Actively working.
Yeah.
And we've been a model. Both the sheriff and I'm not going to mention the county.
Sure.
But we've been contacted by a county law enforcement agency, and the sheriff and I will probably be heading to that county to give a presentation to their commission on starting up their own team.
Excellent. Keep up the good work.
We're being watched.
Excellent. Any comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lynn, there's 3 recommendations that can be one motion.
So move the city manager's recommendations.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item H under the city manager's report would provide for the approval of a collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Department of Public Works Bargaining Unit. As laid out in the memorandum, city administration and the Department of Public Works Bargaining Unit have successfully negotiated a bargaining agreement between both parties with an effective date of July 1st, 2014 and an expiration date of June 30th, 2017. Significant changes compared to the past agreement include 3 successive 1.75% wage increases, with the first becoming effective upon the execution of the proposed agreement, the inclusion of language reflecting recently adopted health care expenditure thresholds, the inclusion of right-to-work language, an increase in call-in pay from $280 to $300, an increase from $5 to $10 in each meal reimbursement paid to employees who work over 2 additional hours beyond their regularly scheduled shift, the payment of signing bonuses in the amount of $500 to each bargaining unit member, an increase in the shift differential from 20 cents to 40 cents per hour for the afternoon shift, and from 30 cents to 50 cents per hour for the evening shift, and finally an increase in the annual boot allowance from $75 to $150. The administration would like to thank the bargaining members of the Public Works Unit and to express their appreciation for their patience and continued professionalism. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve the presented collective bargaining agreement negotiated between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and the Public Works Unit as presented and negotiated.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Bauer.
So move the commission approve the collective bargaining agreement negotiated between the City of Sault Ste. Marie and the Public Works Unit as presented and as negotiated by both parties.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Torty,
Yes.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item I, under the city manager's report, would provide for the approval of a bargaining agreement between the city and the clerical bargaining unit. Just like the agreement that was just approved, this would have an effective date that would run from July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2017. It would also include 3 successive 1.75% wage increases, with the first becoming effective upon the execution of the agreement. Additional changes to this agreement compared to the existing one is the inclusion of language reflecting the recently established healthcare expenditure thresholds, the inclusion of right-to-work language, the inclusion of bereavement benefits that match those provided to non-union employees, the deletion of outdated maternity language, and the provision of $350 signing bonuses to each bargaining unit member. The administration, just like every other employee that it's thanked during the course of settling these agreements, would like to express its appreciation to the members of the clerical bargaining unit, and accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve this bargaining agreement as presented.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Shimmons.
I would move the adoption of the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Yes.
Commissioner Torty.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item J, under the city manager's report, would provide for the approval of a 0.25% wage increase for non-union employees. As commissioners are aware, collective bargaining agreements have been approved between the city and its public works, clerical, police command, police records, and soon-to-be firefighters bargaining units. Additionally, we're making significant progress towards the negotiation of an agreement with the police command unit. Historically, employees who are considered to be either non-union non-department head or non-union department head have received wage increases comparable to those wage increases being received by employees belonging to the various bargaining units of the city. Given that non-union employees previously received approval for a 1.5% wage increase at the July 7th, 2014 regular meeting of the City Commission, these non-union employees would need to receive an additional 0.25% wage increase so that their compensation could be comparable to those being received by the members of each collective bargaining unit. Amended salary schedules reflecting this change have been included for consideration and potential approval by the City Commission. Importantly, it should be noted that the salary increases would not be granted to the City Manager or the DDA Director or EDC Director, as both the DDA Director and EDC Director report to their own respective boards. The administration would like to thank the employees that are of non-union status, and accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission approve a 0.25% wage increase as reflected in the presented schedules.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynn.
So move the city manager's recommendation on the wage increase.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons.
Yes.
Commissioner Torty.
Yes.
Mayor Bospas.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. That concludes the City Manager's report for this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. We have some status report information.
Item A under status report, I've requested that City Engineer Linda Basista provide an update regarding signage at City Hall.
City Engineer Linda Basista.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm going to open up a plan for the site plan for the exterior, the City Hall exterior signage plan. And as you know, we budgeted to the previous fiscal year budget $8,000 for exterior signage for City Hall, and that signage was to include just the exterior, the signage that indicated the carpool parking area, short-term parking in the Water Street area, parking lot. Oops. Don't want that. So that was going to include this signage in the back parking lot and the exit and entrance signs to the driveway, and then lettering on the exterior of the building on the Water Street side and the Portage side that would just say City Hall on the lettering on the building where it used to say U.S. Post Office. But at last year's goal-setting session, the City Commission set a goal to have a front sign. The sign that's out there now out front is a temporary sign, and that was going to be placed just temporarily until the exterior signage, the rest of the exterior signage went up. Because also included in the exterior signage was this information that's on the sign now that says short-term parking, accessible parking, and drop box, use Brady Street entrance. And until the rest of the signage got put up. But the request was for and so that sign would have come down without, and then not have a ground sign out front of City Hall, but it was, the goal was to have a ground sign out front. So then, City Commission, a subcommittee was formed of Commissioners Lynn, Shimmons, and Twardy, and met with my staff to review options for the signage, and that included a monument ground sign that had the masonry, a masonry base with the sign out front, and some other options. And what you're seeing here is the design that was selected, and it was a much less cost and is an enhanced sign, better than what is out there now, with posts that match the street, or the if you see the I don't know if you can see this pointer very well, but the kind of matches the posts for the lights out front. And so that was selected by the committee, was to do a sign, replace the existing sign similar to what is shown here. And then also a new idea was presented, was to add City Hall and the address up in the window of the front door. So that's what was proposed, along with the signs that were already planned for the entrance and exit, and all of this, and to not do the lettering on the building itself. So this was the plan that was selected, and we're ready to move forward with that when the weather permits, and we have to submit the site plan to SHPO to obtain approval of the site plan, because the City Hall grounds is on the state historic registry, and so we have to get approval to do anything on the exterior or on the grounds, permanent changes to the grounds of City Hall. I didn't bring the other options that went through. I just wanted to show you tonight what was selected and what you should be seeing this spring or summer.
The picture that was there, how high is the pole sign out in front that's got the standards that look like the lights? Is that, and then how wide is it? Do you know?
I don't know how wide it's bigger than the one that's out there now.
Okay, so
It'll
it's
be a little
maybe
bigger
6
than
feet
that.
wide?
And you see the person kind of standing there, so the bottom is probably at about 7 feet.
Okay.
6 to 7 feet.
Excellent. No, I like the City Hall above the doors stands out.
I like that too.
Black
It
and
makes
white.
it
That's
really look like
rich
a
looking, you know.
original
Nice
old
job.
building,
No, it's
that way they used
seems like an
to-
excellent job by the committee to come up with those.
Great job, Bob.
Commissioner Bauer.
Somewhat off topic, I like the way your dog walker's carrying a bag.
Oh, yeah, yeah, he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, you can see it better on that sign than on, okay. There you go. Any comments? Any other comments? Looks good.
Thank
We
you.
need a
I'd
mo- we need a
like to
motion,
Thank my staff for helping put this together. I didn't have much involvement in it. They did.
Oh, it's a status report, so we're good. Okay.
That was the Braid Trust that did it.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Mrs. Basista. Item B under status report pertains to the master plan update. As laid out in the memorandum and for the awareness of the community, the city's master plan update process has been set with the first of 3 planned community meetings to be held on Wednesday, February 25th, 2015, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the City Commission chambers at City Hall. This meeting will be structured as an open house format where people will be able to come and go at their leisure with city and EUP regional planning and development staff being available to discuss the planning process and also to discuss various aspects of what they may wish to see in the master plan. Importantly, additional public meetings are planned for April and June, and the plan will be posted online so that the community will be able to follow along as it's developed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the master plan or questions? No. Okay, moving on to item number 7, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone in the audience like to make comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item number 8, matters presented by the City Commission. Commissioner Twardy.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick things. So I know the commission is already aware of this, but I just wanted to say that I'm saddened by the passing of Miss Sonia Norris, who's passed away on Saturday. And I've known Sonia for quite some time. We served on the DDA together for 6 years. And she definitely brought a lot of color to the DDA, and she was a great senior advocate for the Avery Center and for senior citizens in a whole, so she's going to be sorely missed in the community.
No, thank you very much. She was a nice lady.
Yeah, that was number 1. And then number 2, kind of some happy news, and Jay might be able to give me a little bit more information, but I don't know if anybody saw on Facebook that little Sam Gilbert from Sault Ste. Marie got his big job out in New York City. He's working with a big investment firm in New York, J.P. Morgan, and he made it to the Jumbotron in Times Square, and it was pretty cute. Somebody was there to snap his picture, and they put it on Facebook, so good for Sam Gilbert.
Good for Sam.
Yep.
Anyone else? Commissioner Shimmons.
I just wanted to inform the commission and the community that I'm not running for re-election, and I hope that there are going to be lots of good candidates rear their heads and get their declaration of intent submitted to the city clerk's office.
Well, thank you for your time spent as a city commissioner, and we've got some more time to talk about that going forward, so we'll do that at an appropriate time, but you've certainly been an excellent member of the commission, and we thank you for your time and your volunteering during your candidacy, certainly. Anyone else? Commissioner Lynn.
Just one thing before I make a motion to
Sure.
close. I've had a lot of good comments on the new seating at the Puller. It's the seats that we got with backs that we installed, that we got from Lake Superior State, and I think there's more if we ever get the funds to do more
Yes,
if you
sir.
want to. But that whole idea, and I want to give credit, it wasn't me, it was the mayor. The mayor went after that, and a lot
Thank
of
you.
good comments, excellent comments.
Thanks to Lake Superior State, too, because those are excellent chairs, and people do appreciate that they have some back to sit on.
With that, Your Honor, move to adjourn.
Support?
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.